In a quaint little village, nestled beside a whispering river, lived two spirited souls named Puku and Pyuki. They weren't siblings by blood, but by spirit and an insatiable curiosity for the world beyond their familiar surroundings. Puku was bold and eager, often charging ahead with an infectious enthusiasm. Pyuki was thoughtful and observant, always considering the path before taking it. From childhood, they dreamt of the legendary crystal springs, said to flow from the highest, most mysterious mountain peak, a place no one from their village had ever truly reached. Only spoken of in awe, the elders would often say, "The journey to the crystal springs teaches you more than the springs themselves." Puku and Pyuki scoffed, convinced the destination was all that mattered. The first step, the muddy mass. Their adventure began with boundless energy. The first challenge was the muddy mass, a wide expanse of sticky, grey earth. Puku, with typical bravado, declared, "I'll simply leap across the widest paths." He took a running start, jumped, and landed squarely in the thick mud, sinking to his knees with a frustrated groan. Pyuki, meanwhile, had been studying the edges of the mass. She noticed patches of firmer ground, marked by slightly taller reeds. Cautiously, she picked her way, testing each step, sometimes falling back, but always finding a new way forward. "Puku," she called, "don't fight the mud, find the solid ground within it." Quote, it took Puku several messy attempts, but eventually, he learned to observe, to not rush. He learned the humility of falling and the importance of looking for the subtle signs. They crossed. Puku mud splattered but wiser. Pyuki a little cleaner but just as tired. Life lesson 1, patience and observation. Not every obstacle can be overcome with brute force. Sometimes, the solution lies in understanding the terrain and adapting your approach. The second test, the Whispering Woods. Next came the Whispering Woods, a dense forest where the trees grew so close. Their branches intertwined into a shadowy canopy. Puku, confident after the mass, pulled out their old, hand-drawn map. "We follow this path," he announced, but the path quickly faded. Overgrown and obscured, they walked in circles for hours, growing increasingly frustrated and disoriented. Pyuki, quiet for a long while, eventually stopped. "Puku," she whispered, "the map tells us where we think we should go, but the woods are telling us something else." She noticed how the sunlight dappled differently through certain clearings, how certain moss grew only on the north side of trees, and how the distant sound of a trickling stream, though faint, seemed to draw them in one direction. Slowly, carefully, they began to trust their senses and the subtle cues of nature. Rather than a rigid plan, they learned to listen to the environment, to deviate from the planned path when circumstances demanded it. They found the stream, which eventually led them out of the woods, to a sun-drenched meadow. Life lesson 2, adaptability and trusting your intuition. Plans are good, but life often throws unexpected detours. Being able to adapt, listen to your surroundings, and trust your inner compass is crucial. The ultimate climb, the treacherous peak. Finally, they stood at the foot of the mighty mountain leading to the crystal springs. It was far more imposing than their childish imaginations had pictured. Sheer rock faces, biting winds, and precarious ledges greeted them. Fear, for the first time, truly gripped Puku. "We can't do this, Pyuki," he admitted. His usual spark dimmed. "It's too much." Pyuki, who had once been the more hesitant, looked at him with newfound resolve. "Remember the mass, Puku, remember the woods. We didn't leap over them. And we didn't always follow a map. We took one careful step, then another. We learned from our stumbles. We listened." They began to climb, not as two individuals, but as one unit. Puku, with his strength, would test handholds and lift Pyuki over small ledges. Pyuki, with her keen eye, would spot the safest routes and find tiny crevices to anchor them. When Puku's muscles ached, Pyuki would share a calming breath. When Pyuki's spirit wavered, Puku would recount their past triumphs. They faced rockfalls, sudden storms, and moments of utter exhaustion where giving up seemed the only option. But each time, they remembered a lesson learned. The persistence from the mass, the adaptability from the woods, the reliance on each other, the revelation, beyond the springs. After weeks, perhaps months, of arduous ascent, they reached a high plateau. Before them, nestled in a pristine, sun-drenched basin, sparkled the crystal springs, not a dramatic cascade, but a quiet, beautiful pool, its waters clear and still. They drank from it, and it was indeed refreshing, pure, and invigorating. But as they sat there, gazing at the breathtaking panorama of the world stretching below them, a profound realization washed over them. The elders were right. It wasn't just the water. It was the mud on Puku's face, the fear in their hearts, the cold nights huddled together, the arguments and reconciliations, the quiet moments of shared wonder. It was the countless tiny decisions, the falls and the getting up, the learning to trust themselves and each other. They hadn't just found the crystal springs. They had become the people capable of finding them. Their bodies were stronger, their minds sharper, and their spirits undeniably richer. They returned to their village, not as boastful conquerors, but as humble storytellers. They spoke of the journey, not just the destination. They taught the young ones not to fear the mud or the shadows, but to understand them. Puku, the impulsive, now advised patience. Puki, the cautious, now encouraged bold steps, but with awareness. Their lives became a testament to the idea that true wisdom isn't given. It's forged in the crucible of experience. Puku and Puki learned that life's greatest lessons are found not in avoiding challenges, but in embracing them, one muddy, whispered, treacherous step at a time. The crystal springs were beautiful, but the journey to them had made Puku and Puki truly shine.